Every person you see struggling financially, emotionally, or professionally has one thing in common. They've been bankrupt in their thinking before they were bankrupt in life. Abundance begins not in your bank account, but in the choices, beliefs, and thoughts you allow to live rent-free in your mind. Today, we'll explore how to change the landscape of your mind so that opportunity stops passing by unnoticed and wealth becomes a natural consequence of how you think. Imagine your thoughts as a bank account. Every positive idea, every bold belief, every act of creation is a deposit. Every fear, doubt, and distraction is a withdrawal. The balance of this account determines your reality long before your bank balance ever does. If you want wealth, freedom, and opportunity, it starts with how you invest in your mind. Let's learn the strategy of building an account that compounds with abundance, not scarcity. The world will always offer you two currencies: fear and possibility. Most people spend their lives bankrupting themselves in fear, worrying about scarcity, loss, and limits. But those who create abundance spend every moment investing in possibility, growth, and opportunity. The path to wealth and freedom isn't hidden. It's simply a choice to think bigger, act smarter, and believe in what hasn't yet been seen. Today, we step onto that path. Let me tell you something I've learned through the years. Something that doesn't change no matter how much money you earn, how many titles you hold, or how big your business grows. Time is your most valuable asset. You can always earn more money, but you can never create another minute, another hour, another day. I remember when I first began my journey, I was young, eager, and often impatient. I spent time running in every direction, chasing opportunities without thought, and by the end of the week, I would look back and feel exhausted yet unaccomplished. It wasn't lack of effort, it was lack of focus. True abundance begins with respecting your time, because every choice you make is a seed. Plant poorly, and the weeds of distraction and wasted energy will choke your growth. Plant wisely, and the tree of opportunity, wealth, and fulfillment will grow steadily and surely. You see, the people who struggle often treat time like it's limitless. They scroll endlessly, get drawn into gossip, sit in meetings that add no value, and convince themselves that tomorrow will take care of today. But abundance is not found in waiting. It's cultivated in how you invest each moment. The strategy is simple but profound. Treat time as your currency. Ask yourself each morning, where can I invest my energy so that it grows into opportunity? Prioritize learning, skill building, and activities that propel you forward. Avoid the sirens of distraction that promise fleeting pleasure, but steal years of potential from your life. Let me give you a practical example from my own experience. I started dedicating 1 hour each morning solely to personal growth, reading a book, listening to an insightful lecture, or simply reflecting on my goals. At first, it felt small, almost insignificant compared to the chaos of the day. But over months and years, that single hour compounded into knowledge, clarity, and strategies that no instant gratification could ever provide. Alongside that, I would list my top 3 priorities each day. Not 10 tasks, not a dozen, just the 3 things that mattered most. By focusing my energy on these priorities, I discovered that my days became productive, my decisions sharper, and my results magnified. Abundance begins when you respect your time, protect it fiercely, and invest it wisely. Guard your hours as you would gold, because once a minute passes, it is gone forever. Choose today to honor your time, and you begin to create the life that others only dream about. Let me tell you a truth that many overlook. Most people live their lives as consumers, endlessly taking in information, entertainment, and conveniences, yet contributing little in return. They scroll, they watch, they wish, and they complain, hoping the world will somehow hand them opportunity. I've seen this pattern countless times in my own journey. Early on, I realized that wishing for easier circumstances or waiting for luck to arrive was a dead end. The real path to abundance begins when you shift from being a consumer to becoming a creator. There is a law of life at work here. The more you contribute, the more the universe conspires to reward you. Scarcity minds focus on what they can get. Abundance minds focus on what they can give. Value creation is the engine that drives wealth, freedom, and influence. Now, how does this work in practical terms? First, identify what you can create that will help others. It could be a skill, a product, a service, or even knowledge that solves a problem. When I began, I had little money, but I had ideas and insight that could help people improve their lives. I started teaching small groups, writing notes, sharing principles that had transformed my thinking. Each time I created something of value, it not only helped others, but also opened doors I never imagined. You see, creation multiplies itself. When you give, you also attract. Opportunities, respect, and resources flow to those who make something meaningful happen rather than those who simply consume. The strategy is to dedicate intentional time each week to create. If you write, write consistently. If you teach, teach regularly. If you build a product or offer a service, focus on refining it and delivering it to others. I remember blocking hours each week to prepare lessons, to write down my insights, to develop ideas that would become workshops. At first, the audience was small, the income minimal, but the habit of creation built my confidence, my expertise, and eventually my reach. Consistency in creation turns small beginnings into lasting results. Sharing what you produce with a small audience may feel awkward, but it is essential. You cannot grow in isolation. Feedback, interaction, and refinement are part of the process. The moment you start producing and sharing, you shift from reacting to life to shaping it. You become an attractor of opportunity, and the cycle of abundance begins. Move from consumption to creation, and watch how doors open where walls once stood. Start today, create something that adds value, and you will create your own abundance. Let me speak plainly. The journey to abundance begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account or your circumstances. I've witnessed people with talent, drive, and even resources fall short simply because their thoughts were chained by fear, doubt, or the belief that opportunity is scarce. Scarcity is not about money, opportunity, or circumstance. It is born in the mind. And abundance is the same. It begins with the thoughts you allow to dominate your inner world. I've learned through experience that controlling your thoughts is not optional. It is essential. Your mind is a fertile field, and whatever you plant there, doubt or possibility, will grow. The philosophy here is simple. Don't let learning end with knowledge alone. Knowledge is useless if it doesn't transform into action. Many spend their lives accumulating information, reading books, attending seminars, yet never break free from limitation because their beliefs are unchanged. I realized early in my career that reading about wealth or listening to motivational words would not create abundance unless my thinking aligned with possibility. I had to actively challenge the stories I told myself, the fears that it's impossible, and replace them with visions of what could be. Strategy begins with recognition. Notice when scarcity thinking enters the worry, the comparison, the assumption that opportunity is limited. Then consciously replace it with empowering beliefs. I practice daily affirmations, simple statements reinforcing capability, opportunity, and abundance. Each morning, I would spend 10 minutes visualizing my success, seeing myself achieve goals I once thought impossible. This was not fantasy. It was rehearsal for reality. The mind begins to guide action when it believes in the outcome. Practical steps make it tangible. Journal your limiting beliefs. Write them down honestly, then rewrite them as statements of power and possibility. For example, replace "I don't have enough resources" with "I can create resources through focus, effort, and ingenuity." Repeat these affirmations daily. Feed your mind with stories of opportunity, not scarcity. I remember keeping a notebook where I recorded daily insights, rewrote fears, and reinforced my vision. Over time, these small but consistent acts reshaped the way I approach challenges. Opportunities appeared not because they magically existed, but because my mind was now trained to see them, to act decisively, and to attract them. Abundance begins with disciplined thought. Guard it, guide it, and let it lead you to action, and your reality will follow. I want you to understand something fundamental. Wealth is never just about money. Real abundance, the kind that changes your life, flows through relationships long before it shows up in a bank statement. I learned early in my career that the people I surrounded myself with determined the quality of my opportunities. It wasn't the smartest strategy, the best education, or the luckiest break that made the difference. It was the connections I built, the relationships I invested in, and the consistent value I gave to others. Success is not magical, nor is it mysterious. It is the natural consequence of applying simple, fundamental principles over and over faithfully. And one of the most overlooked fundamentals is investing in people. When I began, I made a conscious effort to connect with mentors, peers, and even colleagues who inspired growth. I didn't approach relationships with a checklist of what I could get. I approached them with a mindset of contribution. Abundance thinking is relational thinking. The law of reciprocity is subtle but powerful. When you genuinely help someone, offer guidance, or share insight without expecting a return, doors begin to open that money alone could never unlock. I remember spending time with mentors early in my career, not asking for favors, but listening, learning, and helping where I could. Those relationships became a network of opportunities, advice, and support that amplified every effort I made. The strategy is simple but profound: nurture authentic, mutually beneficial relationships. Seek out people who elevate you, challenge you, and inspire you to be better. Your network should reflect the person you want to become. Surround yourself with those who practice abundance, who act with integrity, and who are committed to growth. Likewise, offer value consistently. Attend networking events not to collect business cards, but to provide insight, guidance, or support. The mindset of giving first creates a ripple effect that always comes back to you. Practical steps turn this into habit. Schedule weekly calls or meetings with mentors and peers, even for 10 minutes. Dedicate time to helping someone without expecting anything in return. Share advice, provide encouragement, or connect them with opportunities. Attend workshops or networking events with the intention to give, not take. I found that small acts, repeated consistently, built a web of trust and respect that later became invaluable. Relationships are not passive, they require attention, care, and sincerity. When you invest in people, you're planting seeds of abundance. Abundance in life begins with the company you keep and the connections you cultivate. Treat relationships as wealth, and you'll find that prosperity follows naturally. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way: your mind is the soil in which your life grows. If you plant weeds, if you dwell on problems, complaints, and limitations, that's exactly what will flourish. But if you intentionally feed your mind with possibilities, ideas, and solutions, your life transforms. Abundance begins in thought before it shows up in action. I remember early in my career, when I was struggling financially and emotionally, I spent countless hours worrying about what I didn't have. I read the news, listened to people complain, and let fear dictate my thinking. My life stayed small because my mind was small. Then I realized something profound: change starts not by wishing for a better life, but by feeding your mind with better thoughts. I began intentionally filling my days with material that inspired, educated, and stretched me beyond my current limits. Slowly, doors began to open that I hadn't even imagined. Philosophically, your life does not improve by chance, it improves by change. And that change begins with what you choose to dwell on. A mind saturated with problems sees only barriers. A mind focused on possibilities sees opportunities. Scarcity thinking tells you to complain about the market, the economy, or your circumstances. Abundance thinking asks, what can I learn? What solutions exist? How can I grow? The difference is subtle but massive. You can't expect a garden to grow if you're watering the weeds of worry and negativity. You must plant seeds of curiosity, creativity, and growth. The strategy is simple: curate your mental diet. Choose content that inspires and stretches your thinking instead of feeding fear or limitation. Listen to talks, read books, or watch lectures that expand your perspective. Replace endless news cycles with biographies, success stories, and actionable insights. Surround yourself with conversations that challenge and elevate you. Over time, your focus shifts from scarcity to possibility, from fear to opportunity. Practical steps make this actionable. Start by dedicating 30-60 minutes daily to reading or listening to material that stretches your imagination. Replace mindless scrolling or negative media consumption with industry insights, practical knowledge, or inspiring stories. Once a week, sit down with a friend or mentor to brainstorm solutions for personal or professional challenges. Don't focus on problems, focus on possibilities. Even small shifts in what you feed your mind compound over time, creating habits of thought that lead to extraordinary results. Your mind is your most powerful asset. Feed it with possibility, and your life will inevitably reflect that abundance. Let me share something that has guided me through every stage of life. Big dreams are not achieved in a single leap. They are built one small, consistent step at a time. Too many people get caught in the trap of scarcity thinking. They want transformation overnight. They want instant results. They measure their progress by dramatic milestones, rather than daily action. I've learned that abundance is cultivated through patience, through discipline, and through deliberate, consistent effort. When I first started my journey, I had dreams that seemed impossibly large. I wanted financial freedom, personal growth, and the ability to impact others. At times, it felt overwhelming, and I almost quit. But then a mentor reminded me, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That insight changed everything. I began focusing on the smallest actions I could take each day that would inch me closer to my goals. Philosophically, abundance thinking understands the power of compounding effort. One small decision repeated consistently over time produces results far beyond what a single grand effort could achieve. Scarcity thinking says, I'll start when I'm ready, or I need a big opportunity to make a big move. Abundance thinking says, I will do something today, no matter how small. That moves me closer to my vision. Every day matters, and each action is a brick in the foundation of your success. I remember early mornings when I devoted just 20 minutes to learning a skill, or evenings when I wrote a few sentences toward a project. At the time, it seemed insignificant, but those small steps added up. Weeks turned into months, months into years, and suddenly I realized I had built something I once thought impossible. The strategy is simple: break your major ambitions into micro actions. Don't focus on the mountain, focus on the next step. Each action, no matter how small, creates momentum. It compounds into energy, skill, and confidence. Review your progress daily, make adjustments, and always celebrate small wins. These wins are not trivial. They are proof that you are moving forward and provide the motivation to keep going. Practically, start by writing down one micro action each day that contributes directly to your biggest goal. At night, reflect, did I complete it? What could I improve tomorrow? Celebrate the small victories. They are the fuel for consistency. The journey is incremental, but over time, consistent steps transform dreams into reality. Big goals are achieved not by leaps, but by the disciplined accumulation of small, purposeful actions. Let me tell you something fundamental about abundance. It begins with the very language you allow into your mind and the words you choose to speak. I have seen countless people sabotage their own potential simply because they were careless with their thoughts and their language. The mind is a fertile field. What you plant there will grow. If you plant doubts, complaints, and fears, scarcity will flourish. If you plant hope, curiosity, and possibility, abundance will take root. Early in my career, I noticed a pattern. Those who constantly complained about the economy, their bosses, or their lack of opportunity rarely advanced. Meanwhile, those who asked questions, sought solutions, and spoke in terms of what could be done seemed to attract doors that others didn't even see. I realized then that abundance starts in the mind and flows through your language into every aspect of life. Philosophically, the principle is simple: either you run your day, or your day runs you. If your thoughts are reactive, if your words are full of limitation, then you are handing control of your life over to external circumstances. Abundance thinking shifts this. It trains you to monitor your internal dialogue, to recognize scarcity statements the moment they arise, and to reframe them into questions of opportunity. For example, instead of saying, I can't make more money with my current skills, you ask, how can I use my skills to create more value? That subtle shift changes your brain's focus from lack to possibility, and it rewires your habits over time. The strategy is simple but powerful: awareness, reflection, and intentional replacement. Keep track of negative or limiting thoughts by journaling them. Write down the moments when you catch yourself thinking or saying, "I can't," "I don't have," or "It's impossible." Then, deliberately rewrite those statements into empowering alternatives. Speak as though the opportunities already exist and allow your actions to follow your words. Pair this with regular exposure to inspiring ideas, podcasts, speeches, or books that plant seeds of possibility. I remember setting aside just 15 minutes a day to listen to talks that challenged my perspective and encouraged problem solving. Within months, my conversations, my ideas, and my confidence had shifted dramatically. The practical reality is that your words are the bridge between thought and action. Guard them. Transform the language in your mind, in your speech, and watch how your world begins to align with possibilities rather than limitations. The abundance you seek starts with the words you choose. Let me share with you a truth I've seen transform lives repeatedly. Time is the one resource you can never recover, and it is far more valuable than money. Money can be earned, saved, invested, or replaced, but time slips through your fingers silently, never to return. I've met countless people chasing wealth yet squandering their days on trivial distractions, reacting to every notification, call, or gossip. They work hard but achieve little because they are constantly busy instead of productive. Abundance begins the moment you understand that every minute carries potential. Every hour is a seed. If you plant it carelessly, it yields little. If you plant it strategically, it can transform your entire life. Early in my own journey, I learned this the hard way. I used to fill my days with meetings, small tasks, and social obligations that gave no return. My energy was drained, my progress stalled. It wasn't until I began intentionally leveraging my time that I felt the shift. I started seeing my day as a series of investments, each moment either working for me or against me. Philosophically, the idea is simply scarcity reacts, abundance invests. The abundant mind does not let its day be hijacked by trivialities. Instead, it identifies high-value activities, the few things that truly move the needle, and gives them priority. It recognizes that not everything on your to-do list is created equal. You cannot do everything, but you can focus on what matters most. Your attention becomes the currency, and when spent wisely, it multiplies opportunity, income, and personal growth. The strategy is to ruthlessly prioritize and protect your time. Identify your top 3 tasks each day that will contribute the most to your goals. Schedule uninterrupted blocks of focus to tackle them without distraction. Say no to activities that offer little return, whether that's excessive social media scrolling, unproductive meetings, or casual habits that eat your energy. I remember deliberately blocking mornings for skill, building, and business development, ignoring emails until later, and seeing the results compound. Those hours became the backbone of my growth. Practical steps cement this philosophy into habit. Every morning, write down your 3 most critical tasks and attack them first. Eliminate anything that consumes time without producing results. Protect your focus with scheduled blocks for deep work, where your attention is entirely on value, creating activities. Over time, this disciplined approach converts your hours into wealth, knowledge, and freedom. Time leveraged wisely is your greatest ally. Use it and your life will reflect the abundance you've cultivated.